Hi, welcome to episode 502 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Blue Sky. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. And I have an Etsy shop where I sell my handspun yarns at the Corner of Knit and Tea. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, December 30th. We are right down at the end of the year, and it is a gloomy and overcast day here in Kansas City. Our weather is about to change. It has been in the 40s and 50s basically since Christmas, which has been unseasonably warm and lovely. I guess I shouldn't say unseasonably warm. The Midwest kind of does a whole bunch of different things. But tomorrow, I believe it is supposed to drop down, and then it is supposed to be 20 degrees the morning of New Year's Day, which I note only because my husband and I are going out and doing a run that morning, and it is going to be quite cold. So I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you had a lovely holiday, whatever you celebrate. I know Christmas was was last week. Hanukkah was last week, as well as Kwanzaa. So I guess Hanukkah is still ongoing through the 2nd. But I hope that whatever holiday you celebrate, that you were able to get free from work and spend a day or two enjoying good food and good friends or family, or just blanket forting in your own little area. We hosted my mother-in-law and her boyfriend, and things went relatively well. We had lots of food. Everything cooking went pretty well. We played games. We did a puzzle, and we watched a couple movies. So it was a lot kind of snuck into a short period of time. Both my husband and I had to work until about 2 or 3 o'clock on on Tuesday, Christmas Eve, and then we were off on Wednesday, and then I had to go back on Thursday. So I pretty much have not had much time off work, although my husband has been off since basically Christmas. He gets off Christmas through New Year's, so he won't go back till Thursday this week. I am working this week as well, much the same holiday schedule. I'll get done early tomorrow for New Year's Eve. We don't really do anything big. We don't like going out because there's so much drinking and driving on New Year's Eve, and they do set up checkpoints, but we do not like going out. So we're probably going to have a festive party in our living room with all of my craft supplies and movies, and then on New Year's Day we'll get up bright and early and go do, it's called the Hangover Half, and so he's going to do a half marathon and I'm going to do a 10K, and it should be bracing as it was last year at 25-ish degrees that early in the morning. We'll start at 8, and we should be done by 10, and then we'll probably go get some breakfast and mostly hang out that day. So it's a little weird having the holidays in the middle of the week, and I feel like many people are coming back to work on the 2nd. Like, most people have been off between Christmas and New Year's. Many people are coming back on the 2nd, but I also feel like the week of the 6th is like the real full start of the new year. So I have been trying to get ready by finishing off some projects. I've picked up something new. I have something else to show you this week, and so let's get started. I have been neglecting to talk about the tea quite a bit lately, and I'm not precisely sure why that is. I guess maybe because I get caught up in chat and what I've knit and what I've done, and so I haven't talked about the tea. So one of my resolutions going forward this year is to also spend a little time on that. So today I am drinking a cinnamon tea from one of my local tea houses. We have a really lovely Chinese tea house called Shang Tea. It is located in Crown Center, which is kind of in the middle of Kansas City on the Missouri side. And you can go in and you can order some food and have tea there, literally in this little, it's part of a bigger kind of mall installation, but you can have tea in the tea house, or you can order tea both online or just pick it up. And I am drinking cinnamon oolong. Gosh, this is kind of hard. There we go. You can kind of see it. And I would have said this is cinnamon oolong tea because oolong, but it is not. It is white tea and then Ceylon tea and then cinnamon bark. So that is what it is. And I am drinking it today in this lovely pottery mug, and I tried to remember where I got it. I think I bought this in West Virginia. My husband's brother, when he was alive, used to live on the East Coast in Virginia Beach, and we went out there for a few different Christmases, and we basically drove through West Virginia, and right at one of the kind of rest stop turnoffs, there's a big artist there's a big, I should say it's a rest stop, it's a food stop, and then they also have kind of, not an art gallery per se, but like all kinds of things from local artists. And so it is signed on the bottom. I can't show you because I have lots of tea in there, but it is signed on the bottom from a potter, and I'm reasonably certain that I bought this when we were traveling through West Virginia quite a few years ago. It lives on a mug tree in my office that I get to look at fairly often, and so I'm having cinnamon oolong tea in my mug. And that is really nice. It's just faintly of cinnamon. Ooh. I managed to get some kind of a bit of fuzz slash wool hair or something in my mouth. I would say it was pets, but we don't have any pets, so it's not. But that doesn't mean it's not sheep related. I guess we do kind of have, we don't have any pets, but I have lots of sheep in the house. Anyway, I hope that you are doing well. Let's talk about projects. So I have some progress on projects that I talked to you about last week. Sadly, I don't know if I'm going to finish either of them, and I have at least a good reason for one of them. Anyway, let's talk. So I was working on a baby sweater last week that I talked to you about. I'm knitting the Child Sophisticate, which is kind of the expanded version of the Baby Sophisticate pattern, which is a free pattern on Ravelry by Lyndon Down. The pattern that I have linked in the show notes is actually available on her website, and it looks like you can just pay via PayPal and maybe have it delivered to you. So I am working on the 18-month-old version, and after a false start where I knit the sweater too big, I have made really good progress on the sweater. And I was only stopped by the fact that I do not have enough yarn left to finish. So I ordered another skein, and I ordered it in relatively close proximity to when I ordered the last skein. So hopefully the dye lots will match. If not, I have a little bit left that I can use to blend. This is what I have left so far. And so here is the sweater, and I knew that I was going to be close on yardage. My gauge is still probably not quite right, and it is a wool cotton blend, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. So like I said, I went ahead and ordered another skein. I ordered it from Eat Sleep Knit, and I'm pretty sure I ordered it on Christmas Eve. And in fact, I'm sure I ordered it on Christmas Eve because I finished the first sleeve on Christmas Eve and was like, this is not going to be enough to do the second sleeve and the shawl collar. So I ordered it on Christmas Eve knowing that it wouldn't ship right away, obviously, because they were closed for Christmas Eve and Christmas. I got a shipping notice on Thursday, and I was hoping it might arrive by Saturday, but it did not. My other hope is that it will arrive today or tomorrow. I don't know how backed up the mail system is because of the holidays, and like I said, I don't think I'm going to finish it by the end of the year, but it will probably be the first finish in the new year. So this is what I have so far. It is a top-down raglan sweater, child size, in this great colorway. The yarn that I am using is Blue Sky Fibers. It is their sweater, which is a 55% superwash merino, 45% cotton, I believe, unless those are reversed. I can't remember. I'll have to look at the tag again. And it is in the colorway Water Slide, which is this great fun turquoise. So I need to weave in the ends. You can see there are a couple loose stitches here where I picked back up, but I need to weave in the ends. But the sweater is more or less, the body is done and the sleeves are done, and I just need to weave in those ends. The last thing that I'm waiting for is it gets a little shawl collar that goes back and forth, and that has the button band integrated into it. And like I said, this is what I have left right now. So I will work this into whatever the next skein that I get is, and I'm hoping that they will be the same tie lot. They may not be, and I will deal with that as best I can. It will only be in the collar, so I'm not super concerned about it not matching, and then I will need to find buttons. If the yarn comes today, then I might try and finish this tomorrow night, because I'm pretty sure I can do the shawl collar all in one night. And if not, then it will be one of the first things that I finish. So I should be able to show it to you finished next week, and then I will send it off to where it belongs. I would love to send it to them now so he can wear it this year, since it's the right size for this year. And since January, February, March are the cold months. He lives in Southern Illinois, the baby. So that's where I will be sending it to. So I feel like I did pretty well on that because I did all of the knitting I could do. I mean, I could have started the shawl collar, but I really want to be able to blend this in and alternate rows. So I feel like I did everything that I could do to get this done in time. And I'm a little bummed that I won't be able to finish it like right before the new year, but I'm not super concerned because as soon as that yarn gets here, I will be able to move on with that. So that is number one. Again, not finished, but close. Number two are the socks that I was working on. And again, I don't think I'm gonna finish them this year. That's kind of a bummer. Although I could, if the yarn doesn't come, then maybe I'll work on this tonight and tomorrow night, and maybe I will finish it. So last week, I think I was almost done with the first one. I hadn't quite finished it. I still had to, I think I had just started the ribbing. And so this is where I ended up. This is a full-fledged knee sock in a lovely gradient yarn from Freya Fibers. The fiber is Freya Find Hand Paints, and it is her Soulmates sock sets, which are 2 skeins dyed exactly identically so you can have matching socks. And she is known for her gradients. This one is the Chameleon colorway and goes from the light yellowy green all the way through really rich emerald greens all the way into kind of a turquoisey tealy green colorway. And so I finished this one. I think I had literally just started the ribbing when I last talked to you, or maybe I was getting close to just starting the ribbing. So I did several inches of ribbing basically to use up every last scrap of the yarn, which I was pleased to do. And then I picked up the second sock. So the pattern on these is 2 at a time toe up socks on Magic Loop. It is a pattern that is free from Knit Picks, and that is linked in the show notes. And I started them 2 at a time on a circular needle, toe up, and I chose toe up even though I generally like top down because I wanted to use all the gradient yarn, and you have to guess too much up at the top end if you start there and you want to get all the way through to the toe. But if you start at the toe, you can just keep going and you can just do a little bit of calf shaping as you get up higher in the sock, and then you can use all of your yarn up. So that was why I chose that method. The second sock I had already, so I started the socks and got maybe to about here on both of them before putting them aside, and then I just didn't want to pick them back up. And one of the reasons for that is because 2 at a time goes much slower, and you spend a lot of time managing the yarn, kind of finagling the balls, keeping them from tangling with each other, making sure you're using the correct yarn on the correct sock. And so what I decided to do was I thought, hey, if I take those off and put them on DPNs, and I basically knit the sock the same way all the way up, they just won't be worked at the same time, then I can maybe move through them faster. And I was right, because it took me about a week and a half to move through this sock once I really picked it up and went moving. And so I have done similar with the other sock. As soon as I finished the first one, I went and picked up the second one on the same needles. And at this point, I am through the heel. I am not quite done decreasing all the gussets. I have more gusset work to do tonight. And then I just have the rest of the sock to knit. So I still have a decent amount of yarn left. This is where I'm at right now. So, I mean, it is a decent amount of work, but if that yarn doesn't come in to do work on the sweater, I could work on this all night tonight and probably a good chunk of the day and tomorrow night as well. And so I think I might be able to finish these crossing over into the new year. I did not do a Christmas Eve cast on. Basically, Christmas Day, I picked this one up and put it back on the needles, and I just haven't spent as much time on it as I should have. And so I still may have some time to work on it. Part of the reason that I haven't spent time on it is because I had another chicken. So I do not show you all the chickens that I knit for the City Girl Farm, which is a art gallery here in Kansas City that I've been working with for a while. I talk about them quite a bit in a lot of different episodes, and you can also just Google the City Girl Farm, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. This week, they gave me, it's not holiday themed because obviously it won't be ready for the holiday, but they gave me kind of some fun stuff to work with. This week I am working on a red chicken, and they have been choosing to use up some yarn from the head knitter. So the chickens are sculptural pieces that basically have they have wood inside, and then they are covered sort of in muslin with some padding, and then the top outside is either knitted or felted. And so we have spinners, and we have knitters, and we have felters, and then we have sewists who basically upholster all the outside coverings that we make onto the chicken bodies. And the head knitter, who I work for because I primarily knit for them, basically gave me a bunch of hodgepodge of stuff and suggested that I figure out how to make something with it. And so what I worked on this week was my big chunky yarn is this beautiful red, and as you can see, there are little bits of other yarns that I'm holding with it, and that actually is a ball of Dream in Color Smushy that was in kind of an autumn harvest colorway, so it's lots of reds and oranges, but then it's got a little green and yellow, and so she's having me hold it just a little bit, just little moments of it in there, so you get a little bit of pop in the red, and then I will be knitting some pieces just with this only. And then the other thing that she gave me was some hand spun of hers in reds. And so I have also been knitting these red panels. And all of these are going to kind of come together to form feathers. I know it sounds crazy, but when I see the finished picture of it, maybe I'll bring it back in a few months to show you. Sorry, that's the wrong side because it has the ends. I try and keep all the ends on one side so they can use like a right side and a wrong side. Anyway, so that is what it looks like. So I have been working with all of these different yarns, and actually I have to tell you, I'm really loving this color of Smushy. I would totally knit myself socks in this, although I'm not going to because I'm going to use it for them. But so that is what I have been working on, and because there was so much, usually I'm just knitting bulky yardage and it's just a couple hundred yards, but this time because there's so much of the other yardage, I actually have been spending some time working on these in the evenings. Because on the big needle, on the big puffy stuff, I usually use size 10s or size 13s, 10s, 11s, or 13s. But of course on this stuff, I'm using 3s and 5s because that's what it's taking. And so I have one more of the hand spun pieces to complete, and then I need to do a few pieces of this. So, and I need to try and do that by Friday. So I've been doing that a little bit during the day because work has been very slow for the last couple days, just because everyone's out on holidays and we don't have a lot. We have a bunch of stuff going on, but we're sort of in like a little bit of a lull. So I've been getting my work done mostly in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, kind of just paying attention if I have emails or other requests, and knitting a little bit. So the last project that I want to show you is a brand new project because even I didn't know I was doing it until a couple days ago. So several years ago, and I want to say 5 to 10 years ago at this point. Well, okay, let's start a little further than that. I grew up Jewish, and both my parents are Jewish, and I grew up not celebrating Christmas because we don't do that. I married a man who is not Jewish, and so since we got together 20 years ago, I have been celebrating Christmas with him and his family. And we always went to his mom's for Christmas for years and years and years. And then when we bought our own house, she asked if she could come to our house for Christmas. And so many years ago, probably 12, 15 years ago, we bought a Christmas tree, like a reusable, a fake tree, and lights. And then over the years, I have added other things. So in the beginning, I think she just brought her stockings and we used them. But over the years, I bought stockings and stocking hangers for my mantle. And we're not religious. We don't celebrate the religious aspects of the holiday. And these days, we don't even really celebrate the gift giving season and some of those kinds of things. These days, we very much like the tree and lights, and then we stopped exchanging gifts quite a few years ago when my in-laws retired, and Wes and I mostly buy ourselves what we want. He and I usually exchange something small, but in general we just don't exchange gifts. Instead we do stockings, and so we do candy, and sometimes we buy small games and things to put in the stockings, and then we do lottery scratcher tickets and like fun stuff like that. But it's really just like kind of a fun stocking, something to open Christmas morning, but not a lot of stuff. And when I was deciding to do stockings, I really wanted to for a while I had to think about what I wanted to do. Did I want to knit my stockings myself? Did I want to sew them? What did I want to do? And back in the day, I thought about knitting them, but the thing that I don't love about knitted stockings, at least some of them, is that if you don't line them, they tend to stretch out because knitting is kind of stretchy, and depending on what yarn you use, I was afraid that they would get all stretched out and not look great. And my sewing skills in those years were nil, and even now I'm not sure that I would line them adequately. Anyway, I went looking on Etsy to see if I could support someone else who was making lovely stockings, and I found an Etsy seller, and this is already 7 to 10 years ago. If I can find the shop that I bought them in and the shop is still open, I will put the link in the show notes. Otherwise, I would just suggest you do your own search on Etsy because I don't know if she's still there. I found a woman who was making stockings out of recycled sweaters, and so she was going thrifting and finding white and off-white sweaters, and then she was cutting them up and sewing them back together and creating fun stockings. And so I bought a bunch of them. Now, none of them match. They're all roughly similar, but none of them actually match because they were all from different sweaters. And so I have these great stockings. So like this one has some cables on it, and then on the back she used like some ribbing, but otherwise just flat, and it looks like she needed to add a little bit of a seam there, or maybe this was like a shoulder or something. I don't know. And then this one is kind of an oatmeal-y heathered. It's a thicker yarn, and it's got this really great cable on it. And then on the back, there's like a totally different cable. So it's the same yarn, so it was probably the same sweater. And I don't know, I guess that's probably part of it, but right. So yes, so I have these lovely stockings. I actually have 6 of them because we've had varying numbers of people over the years, and I always put them up. But one of the things that my mother-in-law always complains about is that you can't really tell whose stocking is whose because there are no specific stockings. Like basically I stuff them with a bunch of stuff, and then I tell my mother-in-law which stocking is which, and she puts what she wants into them. But like there's no outward way to know which stocking is which. And so this year I was like, this was right after Christmas. I was like, you know, I should embroider these. So my plan went like this. I thought I'm going to embroider them, and I thought I want to trace a really cool font onto there. And so I thought, hey, what if I did it in puffy paint? Because I have seen people in embroidery say trace something or paint something in Elmer's glue or something else that creates kind of a rigid something to go underneath, and then they embroider over it, which gives the texture, which gives it a little bit more texture and dimension. I don't know if that's so. There is a term called couching where you run a thread and then you embroider around it, but I don't know if it would be called couching or specifically what it would be. But so I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find some really cool calligraphy letters, and then I'm going to puffy paint on top of them, and then I can cut them out and I can put that like letter on top of the stocking, and then I can embroider over it, and it will give me that texture that I want. I have had fair success with that because so I did that. And I put puffy paint on it, and the problem is that because paper is paper and not fabric, some of the puffy paint absorbed into the paper, and you can see, like, first of all, it absorbed in and kind of bled over the line, but then the other thing that it did is it made it pretty flat. It's not actually, like, there is a little bit of texture because it was glitter puffy paint, which was what I had, but there's not, like, a ton of texture on it. So I was trying to decide whether I was going to try something else or whether I was going to stencil them on or what exactly I was going to do, and I decided to just go ahead and use these and try one of them last night. And so last night at midnight, I decided to start working on it, and this is what I have so far. So this is a G. My mother-in-law's boyfriend's name is Gordon, and so I am doing a large cursive G on his stocking, and I bought some different colors of embroidery floss, and so I am just couching basically around that paper, and as I poke the needle holes, the paper is just falling away because it's easy to do, and so that is what I have so far. So my plan is to work on these and probably not clean up Christmas until I finish these, so I do need to work on these some over the next couple weeks. I have 4 stockings to do because there are 4 of us, and my hope is that I will get these done and then I will pack up Christmas and put them away. And the reason I'm doing it now rather than waiting until next Christmas is because I know me, and I will pull them out and then it will be time for Christmas and I will be crazy in December and I will not have time to do it, and then I will be upset that I didn't do it, and so I decided that this is a really good next next couple days, January through Epiphany, or even a little later in January, a progress, so that I can, project, so that I can finish them and put them away, and then next year I can pull them out and they'll be a nice surprise. Past me will surprise next year's me, and they'll be ready to go, and then my mother-in-law can be surprised, and then we can easily put things in everyone's stocking. The other thing about this is that if I should ever need to repurpose the stocking, which I'm not looking forward to, but if I should ever need to repurpose it, I can just snip it and pull the embroidery out, and I could put another letter there. So that is not the plan, but it doesn't permanently finish these stockings. And I have two more that we don't normally use. I think we thought that my niece and nephew on my brother's side were going to be with us for Christmas one year, and so I went out and bought more so that I was sure that I had enough, so that if they joined us we had them. So I have a few extra stockings in reserve, and those are not going to have any letters on them for a while, and then if anybody joins our family Christmas, then I can just add letters to those. So that is the project that I'm going to work on for the next couple weeks. You'll also see that. So I have a little bit of stitching to share with you. I am working through the rest of the singles for the fiber that I'm spinning. I'm about halfway through that second bobbin, so hopefully I will get some work done on that and maybe have that to show you next week. And then as soon as I finish my socks, I'm going to cast on a new pair of socks, either for my mom or my dad, because both requested socks while I was there for the holidays. So I do have one other new cast on that I plan to do in January, and that is a knit along, and I'll talk about that next week because I won't have cast on for that yet, but I'll talk about that. And otherwise, I think I'm going to try and make January and February mostly working through old projects. I would really like to get some things off the needles and then get my creative juices going up for the year to come. So I think that's all I have for you today. I hope that you had a lovely holiday if you celebrated, and for the upcoming week, New Year's Day is Wednesday, and I would just like to wish you a happy, healthy, and creative New Year, and I will see you when it's 2025. So happy knitting, spinning, sipping, and happy 2025. Bye.